most Israelis are told, and will tell you, that Palestinians are natural-born liars and you shouldn't believe a word they're saying. Anything they say is probably a lie, unless corroborated by other evidence, which is automatically suspect since it backs up a Palestinian. Now, as part of my work for VID00092, a few months back, we went to an incident near a settlement. We took statements from farmers, Palestinian farmers in the region. They said that settlers came from a nearby gate which separated their own land from the settlement, and those settlers first stoned them, then stole their donkey and some various agricultural implements, including a plow. As we were taking those statements, I noticed a commotion at the gate. I ran over there, and I managed to picture the police and the army opening the gate from the settlement side and getting the donkey and the plow out back to the Palestinians' farmers. Later they also brought in the rest of the implements which they found abandoned somewhere in the settlement. So this incident was one-to-one. You know, what they said was what happened, and I stood there and I was, what? That's not how it's supposed to happen.
But Yossi, you're in your 40s or 30s? Yeah. Okay. You're a grown man. Did you accept this belief system about?
In a way, yes. I'm 43. I served in I've served in the IDF. I served for 2 years in the Gaza Strip. We were told that you should never listen to anything a Palestinian says, and you know, there was always some embellishment. But I thought about it later. When you are standing with a gun over a man, and you know, it seems so natural, because that's how many Israelis interact with Palestinians. You stand over them with a gun. You can't expect them in this situation to be very truthful. They will embellish, as will most Israelis. Try to listen to an insurance claims officer in Israel. He'll tell you.
Yes. Okay.
But that incident and several other incidents which were documented.
Yes, they affected you. They affected you personally.
Yeah. Look, there was this incident in Hebron about a week ago. 2 weeks ago, several soldiers went into a party where they were playing Gangnam Style.
Yeah, and they danced with them.
Yeah, and they danced with the Palestinians. Now, the Israeli media was shocked by this. The soldiers put themselves in danger. They did not know. They didn't care that most of the people there were Hamas supporters. I don't know about them being Hamas supporters.
Yes.
By the way, let's assume they are. About 2 years ago, at a similar, I think I told you about it, I'm not sure, tell me if you know, a similar incident in Al-Muasra, a small village, where they have demonstrations.
I've been there.
Long story short, at the end of the demonstration, we found out our car did not have tires. Two of our tires were slashed, and we had no way of going back. This was a Friday, Saturday was coming in, nobody in the nearby settlements would come and fix our car, and we were getting very desperate and very, very fearful. It was going dark, and we were alone in a Palestinian village, and we started talking about being kidnapped, and I joked about being company to Gilad Shalit and all that. When suddenly one of the demonstration organizers came over, saw what happened, made a few phone calls. Some guys came with a car, took our wheels, and drove with them to another village to find a mechanic to fix it. We were still in the middle of the village and alone. We were all smoking very heavily, and two of the people I was with, Itamar and Yair, to relieve their tension, started started practicing some martial arts they were doing at the time. And suddenly, we were surrounded by children, about 2,000 of them, and they were fascinated because they've never seen Israelis playing. This was not a fight, this was a play. And we started speaking to them, and we didn't know Arabic and they didn't know Hebrew, but we started playing, and they posed for photographs.
Yeah.
And after about an hour, the guys came back with our wheels, and we drove off.
Yes.
And much of the fear I felt before was gone. Because this, I think when you go to them, I saw Palestinians in two modes: as a soldier and as a demonstrator. And you don't actually see them as humans in both cases. In one case, as a soldier, they're either a target or someone who's trying to kill you, or will try to kill you, or is assumed to be trying to kill you, or is possible of trying to kill you. And as a demonstrator, they're not persons. Even then, they're not persons, they're symbols. Mm-hmm. You're marching along with the symbol.
Yeah.
You're marching with the Palestinian resistance.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many Israelis, even among activists, actually have face-to-face contact with Palestinians nowadays.
But return briefly to the Hebron video of the soldiers dancing Gangnam Style. What does that say? What is the message? How do you explain that to people? What does it show?
It shows that when you put your hair down, people are people, and they want to have fun.
Yeah.
That's all. My immediate recollection was the Christmas truce of the First World War. When soldiers from both sides put down their weapons, they began by singing together, and then they slowly went out of the trenches, met halfway, exchanged gifts, had a football game. Yeah. And the high command on both sides was so terrified of this fraternization.
Yeah.
Think what it means. The term fraternization.
Yeah.
He's becoming your brother.
Yeah.
That they ordered an immediate assault.
Yeah.
To end this. And I think the Israeli reaction, particularly that of the military, was the same.
Yeah.
What happens when a soldier realizes that the Palestinian next door also dances to Gangnam Style? Is not, spending his waking hours preparing Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
Is not writing insightful literature. Is trying to be a human being in an inhuman system.
But then, why don't I, as a political person, look at all this and think, well, it has to end up being one country where the people are equal?
Well,
that's the only answer to all these stories.
That would have to be the only answer. I don't think that we are capable of, two systems are too entrenched in one another.
Yes.
To separate them. However, both the fears of both sides, their hatred, and their broken nationality, mean there will be a lot of blood before this happens. If we wanted the Palestinians to join us...
broken nationality?
Broken nationality.
Their broken nationality.
And ours.
Yeah.
And ours. We're not actually a nation. Are we a religion? Are we a country?
You're a people.
Are we a people? What do we do with the 20% who are not Jews living right beside us? Are we a nation? Mm. Are we an ethnicity? Is Israel the country of all its people or of the Jewish people? And what does it mean to be a Jew? Is a Reformed Jew a Jew?
Yeah. So anyway,
Israel says no.
So wait, you're saying that these there will have to be a lot of blood before these things are resolved.
See how that happens without it.
I agree with you.
At the moment, Israelis have too much to lose.
Yes.
They don't. Most of them won't speak of it, won't acknowledge it, won't see it, but they are a Herrenvolk.
Herrenvolk, yeah.
The Lord's people, if you will.
Privileged.
Yeah, they have privileges they are not even aware of. And those privileges are part and parcel of the occupation.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff here is particularly,
even in Tel Aviv, even the privileges that we see in Tel Aviv are supported by this occupation, of course, yeah.
And people will find it hard to give up their privileges, and particularly when our politicians manage to convince people, admittedly, given Arab rhetoric, this wasn't all that difficult, that they want to destroy us.
Yeah.
So any attempt to change the ruling system, to make it a one-man, one-vote system, terrifies people, because they equate the end of the Zionist regime with their own annihilation.
Yeah.